Gonna go ahead and hit record. Let's see, all right. Looks like we're live. So hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining, and thank you, Rahul. Just a bit of a background on who Rahul is. Rahul is a very brilliant man who is the current co-founder, or founder and CEO of Superhuman. Previously, he was part of Reportive, which was acquired by LinkedIn, and overall is probably one of the most interesting founders in the Valley, working on a very interesting product that fits a particular niche that a lot of people seem to struggle to understand after this topic, his and really how they found their niche. So I think without further ado, Rahul, if you want to take it away. I know you have some really great talk on making the product market fit engine. I'd like to go more into that.
Absolutely, and thank you, and hello everyone at IvyHacks. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to share my screen here. You'll see a blank screen momentarily, and then we'll jump right in. So yes, I'm Rahul. I'm the founder and CEO of Superhuman, where we're building the fastest email experience in the world. Our customers end up getting through their inbox twice as fast as before, and many of them see inbox zero for the first time in years. This is the story of how we built a product market fit engine. Now, product market fit is the #1 reason why startups succeed. But the lack of product market fit is the #1 reason why startups fail. What really is product market fit? Well, Paul Graham, the founder of Y Combinator, would say it's when you made something that people want. Sam Altman, the president of YC, would say it's when users spontaneously tell others to use your product. But it is perhaps Mark Andreessen who has perhaps the most vivid definition. He would say you can always feel it when product market fit is happening. Is not happening rather. Customers aren't quite getting value. Users are not growing that fast. Word of mouth is not spreading. The press reviews are kind of blah, and the sales cycle is taking too damn long. But you can almost always feel it when product market fit is happening. Customers are calling you as fast as you can add servers. You're hiring sales or support as fast as you can. You're constantly being called about your hot new thing. Money is piling up in your checking account and investors are staking out your house. This is indeed a vivid definition, and one that I was staring at through tears in the summer of 2017. It seems so subjective, so unactionable. What do you do if by this definition, you don't have product market fit? Indeed, can you measure product market fit? Because if you can, then maybe you can optimize it. Maybe you can systematically, even numerically, increase product market fit. And as it turns out, the answer is a yes. You can measure product market fit and you can optimize it. But before I share how, let's wind the clock back by 10 years. In 2010, I started a company called Reportive. We built the first Gmail plugin to scale to millions of users. When people emailed you, we showed you what they looked like, where they worked, their recent tweets, and links to their social profiles. We grew rapidly, and 2 years later, we were acquired by LinkedIn. And during those 4 years, I developed a very intimate view of email. I could see Gmail getting worse every single year, becoming more cluttered, using more memory, consuming more CPU, slowing down your machine, and still not working properly offline. And on top of this, people were installing plugins like ours, Reportive, but also Boomerang, Mixmax, Clearbit, you name it, they had it. And each plugin took these problems of clutter, memory, CPU performance offline, and made all of them dramatically worse. It was time for change. We imagined an email experience that is blazingly fast, where searches are instantaneous, where every interaction is 100 milliseconds or less, an email experience where you never had to touch the mouse, where you could do everything from the keyboard and fly through your inbox, an email experience that just worked offline, so you could be productive from anywhere. An email experience, of course, that had the best Gmail plugins built in natively, and yet somehow was subtle, minimal, and visually gorgeous. And so in the summer of 2015, we set up our office. This was our fancy sign. And we started to write code. In the summer of 2016, we were still coding. And in the summer of 2017, we were still coding. I felt this incredible, intense pressure to launch, both from the team and also from within myself. After all, Reportive had launched, scaled, and been acquired in less time. And here we were 2 years in, and we still had not launched. But deep down inside, I knew, no matter how intensely I felt this pressure, our launch would go badly. It would not be the Mark Andreessen story. I did not believe we had product market fit. And although I knew it, I couldn't just say that to the team. These are super ambitious, hyper-intelligent engineers. They poured their hearts and their souls into the product. I needed a plan. And so in the April of 2017, I started my search for the Holy Grail, for a way to define product market fit, for a metric to measure product market fit, and for a methodology to systematically increase product market fit. I searched high and low. I read everything I could find, spoke with all the experts, and I came across this guy, Sean Ellis. Sean ran growth in the early days of Dropbox, LogMeIn, Eventbrite. He even coined the term growth hacker. And as vivid and as compelling as Andreessen's definition of product market fit is, and it is very vivid and very compelling, it is still a lagging indicator. By the time cash is piling up in your checking account and investors are staking out your house, guess what? You already have product market fit. Now, Sean found a leading indicator, one that is both benchmarked and predictive. Just ask your users this: how would you feel if you could no longer use the product? And measure the percent who answer very disappointed. After benchmarking hundreds of startups, Sean found that the companies that struggle to grow almost always got less than 40% very disappointed. And the companies that grew most easily almost always had more than 40%. If more than 40% of your users would be very disappointed without your product, then you have initial product market fit. This example shows that same question answered by 731 Slack users, 51% of whom would be very disappointed without Slack. 51 is greater than 40, and so therefore Slack has product market fit. Now today, this may seem self-evident. You do not need a fancy question to tell you this fact about Slack, but this example shows just how hard it is to beat the 40% benchmark. The metric is more objective than a feeling. This metric predicts success better than Net Promoter Score. This metric is not only the best way to measure product market fit, it lets you develop your very own product market fit engine. And with this engine, as we shall see, you have a methodology for increasing product market fit. The engine can even generate your roadmap for you. So let's take a look how. Step one is survey. Email these 4 questions to every user. Now, you should only send these questions when users have experienced the core value proposition of your product. At Superhuman, we wait until they've had 3 weeks. Let's take a look. So number 1, how would you feel if you could no longer use the product? You give people 3 possible responses. Very disappointed, i.e. they love the product, somewhat disappointed, they're on the fence, and not disappointed. They wouldn't feel a thing if the products were to go away. Number 2, what type of person do you think would most benefit from this product? Number 3, what is the main benefit you get from the product? And number 4, how can we improve the product for you? Take the results to all the questions, analyze the results to question number 1, and you will end up with something like this. These are the actual numbers from Superhuman in the summer of 2017. We very clearly did not have product market fit. Now that may seem sad, but now I could at least explain our situation to the team. And most excitingly, I had a plan to increase our product market fit score. This brings us to step 2 of the engine, to segment. Now we want to understand who are the people who really love our product. And I like to use the concept of the high expectation customer, which is a concept I found from Julie Supan. Julie led early marketing at Dropbox, Airbnb, and many other great companies. The HXC is the most discerning person in your target demographic. They will enjoy your product for its greatest benefits and spread the word. Most importantly, others want to be like them because they see them as clever, judicious, and insightful. For example, let's take a look. The Dropbox HXC simply wants to simplify their life. They're very trusting, they're technically savvy, and they're looking for ways to save time. At the end of the day, they just want to know that someone has their back when it comes to their life's work. I'm an example of the Dropbox HXC. I'm sure many of us here are also. The Airbnb HXC does not simply want to visit new places, they want to belong. They want to experience Paris as if they really live there. And Airbnb's early success came from focusing on these tastemakers and these influencers. So how do you compute your own HXC? Well, take the users who would be very disappointed without your product and analyze their answers and their answers only to who do you think this is best for. This is a very powerful question, as happy users will almost always describe themselves, but using the words that matter most to them. You can then turn these words into a rich and detailed description of your own highest expectation customer. Let's take a look at an example. This is Nicole, the Superhuman HXC. She's a hardworking professional. She deals with many people. She might be an executive, a founder, an investor, or a manager. Now, she works long hours, often into the weekend. She considers herself really busy and wishes that she had more time. She does feel she is productive, and she's self-aware enough to realize she could be better, but she lacks the time to find ways to improve. Very occasionally, she'll investigate for new tactics. She, of course, spends much of her day in her work inbox. She'll receive hundreds of emails a day, and on a really busy day, she might send 80 emails plus. And most importantly, she considers it part of her job to be responsive. It is part of her ego that she is. She knows that when she's not, she'll block her team, she'll miss opportunities, or worst, damage her own reputation. Now, she aims to get to inbox zero, but she gets there at most a few times her week. Very occasionally, perhaps once a year, she will declare email bankruptcy. Generally, she has a growth mindset. She is up to date about new products and she keeps up with technology. However, and this is a core challenge for us, she might have a fixed mindset about email. While she's open to the idea of new clients, she's coming to the table generally a little bit skeptical that one will make her faster. So now that you have your HXC, what do? Well, you go back to the survey, you take each response and you assign a persona to each one. And here's the magic. Take the users who most love your product. Remember, these are the folks who'd be very disappointed without it, and use them to narrow the market. In this case, we're going to focus on founders, managers, executives in business development, and we're deliberately going to ignore sales, customer success, engineers, and data science. Let's see what happens. We take away those personas that don't match, and just by segmenting, our product's market fit score jumps by 10% from 22 to 32%. We're not quite at 40% yet, but we made significant progress in just 2 minutes. On to step 3 of the engine, analyze. Now, in this step, we want to understand 2 things. Number 1, why do people love our product? And number 2, what holds people back from loving our product? Number 1, to understand why people love our products, we go back to our survey. Once again, we focus only on the users who would be very disappointed without the product. We then analyze the results to question number 3, what is the main benefits that you receive from the product? Let's take a look. So these are some examples from Superhuman. Processing email is so much faster. I get through my inbox in half the time. The app is crazy fast. The UX, the keyboard shortcuts make me an actual superhuman. Navigation, responsiveness, so much faster than Gmail. Let's keep going here. Most efficient with my time, can work through my incoming email more quickly. Speed, aesthetics, can do everything from the keyboard, and a great set of keyboard shortcuts. Once you have these things all listed out, take them together, remove the filler words, and then throw them up into a word cloud. And it will become clear as day what the main benefits of your product is. For Superhuman, it's speed, focus, and keyboard shortcuts. So let's take a look at our results. We want to grow the size of the very disappointed crowd. First, and as painful as it is, we have to ignore the not disappointed crowd. They are so far from loving the products that they are essentially a lost cause. This is important as they will ask for all kinds of distracting things. And as counterintuitive as it may seem, do not act on their feedback. This leaves just the somewhat disappointed crowd. Maybe we can help them fall in love with our product. We most certainly can. But again, and I cannot stress this enough, do not act directly on their feedback. Many of them will remain somewhat disappointed no matter what you do for them. And so their requests are just distracting. So how do you decide who to listen to? Well, here's another little bit of magic. We use the main benefits of the very disappointed users to segment the somewhat disappointed users. First, the somewhat disappointed users for whom speed was not the main benefit. In our case, speed is the main benefit, and if it doesn't match, in your case, I strongly advise that you ignore these people because the main benefit does not resonate with them. Even if you built everything that they wanted, they are unlikely to fall in love with your product. Second, the somewhat disappointed users for whom speed was the main benefit. We pay very special attention to these because our main benefit does resonate, but something, and honestly, it's probably something small, holds them back. Now, how do we figure out what? Well, we analyze their responses to the fourth and final question: how can we improve our products for you? Once again, take all the responses, remove the filler words, create a word cloud, print it out really large, stick it up on your wall so you internalize it day in and day out, and you might end up with something like this. These are the actual results for Superhuman from many years ago, back in 2017. And at the time, the main thing holding our users back was simple. It was the lack of a mobile app. Obviously, we've built that and people love it. Beyond that, it gets less obvious and more interesting. Things like integrations, attachment handling, calendaring, unified inbox, better search, read receipts, and so on into the long tail. To increase your product's market fit score, all you have to do is build these things. That would convert the users who are only somewhat disappointed without your product into fanatics who love your product. This brings us to step 4 of the product's market fit engine, which is to implement. We now understand why the very disappointed users love our product, and we also understand what holds back the somewhat disappointed users for whom the main benefit resonates. To increase our product's market fit score, we should spend half our time doubling down on what users love. In our case, that means even more speed, shortcuts, efficiency, and aesthetics. And just as importantly, we should spend half our time systematically addressing what holds users back. If we only double down on what users love, as teams that are very vision-oriented are wont to do, we would not increase our product's market fit score. If we only address objections, as data-oriented teams are wont to do, a competitor would eventually overtake us. This is your new roadmap, and it automatically writes itself. This brings us to the 5th and final stage of the product market fit engine, which is to track. Now, this framework will work, but there are no silver bullets. As you double down on what users love, and as you address what holds users back, you should constantly survey new users. I recommend tracking your product's market fit score every week, month, and quarter. Let's take a look. In the summer of 2017, our product's market fit score was 33%. After a quarter, it was 47%. Next quarter, it was 56%. And the quarter after that, it was 58%. 58% of our users would be very disappointed without Superhuman. The product market fit engine really does work. It gives you a way to define products market fit, a metric to measure products market fit, a methodology to increase products market fit, and it will even write your roadmap for you. As you're working on your hacks, I hope you consider using this once they're up and ready for other people to use. And if you do, please let me know. I'd love to help in any way that I can. You can find me, of course, on email at rahul@superhuman.com or on Twitter at Rahul Vohra. My DMs are open. Feel free to DM me. And finally, because I see a bunch of people asking in the chat, and I wanted to make it available for IvyHacks, we are opening up Superhuman for education. So most folks here will probably know that Superhuman is an incredible product. Historically, it's cost $30 per month. We do have a new promotion, a discount for staff faculty and students enrolled in universities. Just head over to superhuman.com/education and you can sign up for Superhuman at a tremendous 67% discount. So that is just $10 per month. You'll save hours per week on email and sustainably see inbox zero. And with that, we've brought it to a wrap. I'm happy to help on your projects. I'm happy to help as you're building your companies. Thank you so much for listening.
And thank you, Rahul. I think seeing this article and then seeing you really walk us through the demystifying of what product market fit means. You know, a lot of people just say segment your customers, but seeing that there's actually a methodology you can apply to it is very empowering to allow founders to see exactly what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. And I think it's very, very important to underscore that you said achieving product market fit is not a one-time sort of event. You said that you continuously use it at Superhuman even today on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. I guess maybe in the last few minutes we have, I'd like to ask sort of where did the product market fit sort of elucidate itself best during your time at Rapportive, or was it as you were building Superhuman? Where did you think that like the product market fit engine really was able to shine? Like, are there particular product spaces or particular problems? Where do you see this as like the most impactful type of tool?
I think it's useful for anyone who's serious about building a product that large numbers of people at the end of the day are going to love. We didn't use it in Rapportive. Rapportive was one of those very simple tools. It was just sort of a like lightning in a bottle, so to speak, that captured everybody's attention overnight. Superhuman was not like that. Superhuman was the result of a long, hard grind over the course of many years, systematically and logically thinking through frameworks like I just shared in order to actually get really crystal clear on what you could build in order to make increasingly large numbers of people fall in love with a product. If you're going into a space, especially that's complex, for example, you're trying to build an email client or you're trying to build something equivalently as large, there's a million different things you can do. There are an infinite number of features, and you can go arbitrarily deep on any number of them. You can use the product market fit engine to decide what to build and how deep to go.
Well said. We actually have a question that one of our hackers had actually asked. This person knows a bit about your background and game design and just general maker, like the sort of maker nature of your childhood. And the question from this hacker is, how do you go from building things sometimes purely for the pleasure of it or for the learning nature of it? How do you go from that sort of hacking mentality to where you are now, building actual products that people will not only pay for, but benefit from? Where does that transition come from?
It's a choice that you have to make. The good thing is, I think if that's where you're starting from, you're starting in the right place. You're so much more likely to build an experience that people love if you're coming at it from a point of love yourself, if you're coming at it from a point of joy in the craft of whatever it is you're building. And at the university level, I'd been actually programming since I was 8 years old, but I'd been honing the craft, not just of writing code, but also of product and of design and of marketing all the way along. And what you're doing is spot on, which is constantly refining these skills so that you can do it better and better and better. Eventually, there's a choice to be made, which is, do I want this to be a company? Do I want this to be a venture-backed company? And then there's a myriad subset of choices that come after that. And if those things are true, and if you want to be the CEO, then obviously your job ends up changing as the company scales. These days, I spend far less time working on the product directly. I haven't written code for many years, and my job is constantly evolving every 6 months or so.
Absolutely, and I think that's a great note to end on, that whatever you build at the end of this 36-hour hackathon, there's a question that you'll have to ask, and that I think Rahul has asked many times before, which is, I've built this thing, and does this thing need to be shared with more people? Should it exist past where it is right now, and should it impact a greater scope? And I think Superhuman is a great example of a product that a large number of people have worked super hard on. And I think the rest is history, and the rest will be history as you continue building Superhuman. So Rahul, I thank you so much. IvyHacks, on behalf of the organizing team and the hackers, really appreciate your presence.
Thank you again so much for having me. And once again, a reminder for those who missed it, if you'd like to sign up for Superhuman for Education with the 70% discount, $10 a month, head over to superhuman.com/education. With that, see you all. Bye-bye.
Take care, Rahul. Appreciate it. All right, and for everyone else, I'm actually a subscriber to Superhuman, and it's insane. Like, it's hard to explain how great of a service it is. The fact that it's $10 a month instead of the $30 makes it a no-brainer. Highly, highly would recommend. Feel free to message me if you want me to share my screen during a social event or something and walk you through Superhuman. I love the product. Rahul does some really cool work. Highly would recommend their stuff. With that said, take care, everyone. See you at the next talk.